Hello and welcome to this series on 5 minutes on SQL. This is Mithilesh. In this video tutorial we are going to talk about SQL Server Management Studio and what is an SQL instance. So SQL Server Management Studio is an interface wherein you will be accessing all your databases and its tables. It includes different elements like Object Explorer, Solution Explorer, Results and Messages. Once you launch the SQL Server Management Studio, it will come to this interface. So this interface is talking about what server type we are accessing, that is the database engine, because we are going to access all the databases. Then the server name, which will be like a machine name / the instance name, and then the authentication method. Now there are two types of authentication methods. One is the Windows authentication and the other one is the SQL authentication. If you're using an SQL Server authentication method, then the login type would be SA, which abbreviates as System Administrator. So System Administrator is the power user who can access all the tables. He also has the ability to even delete the tables, records, or even the database itself. If you are using a Windows authentication method, it depends upon what type of permissions that are provided. That will govern the usage of that Windows. That will govern the usage, or when the user is logged in using that Windows permissions. So if we quickly look at the SQL Management Studio, you can see on the left side we have the Object Explorer. As I said, Object Explorer is a tree view of all the database objects in a server, and this view includes the database of the SQL Server Database Engine, SQL Server Analysis Services, Reporting Services, and Integration Services. Object Explorer includes the information from all the servers that are connected to it. On the right side you have Solution Explorer. Solution Explorer is nothing but if you have run multiple queries on your database, you will see that on the right side all the queries are listed, so you can easily switch between your queries and understand which query you would want to run into or look into. The middle pane is where the SQL query is executed or written. So once you have written some query and make sure that you have selected the correct database and executed the query, you can see that it gives us the results. So if there are for example, running this query is resulting 6 results or 6 rows here, it shows me that 6 rows are affected. So whatever the query that you are running, the results will be here, and then again the messages will inform us. The messages pane will inform us how many rows are impacted. Now let's understand what is the SQL instance. SQL instance is like a library. So imagine that you have library 1 and library 2. So library 1 is one instance and library 2 is another instance. In that library, in each of these libraries, you will have different sections. Now these sections are nothing but databases, and each database will have its own tables. So here I assume that the books are the tables, and in these tables you have records. So each of these, when the SQL Server allows you to install multiple instances of the SQL Server database engines, these engines run side by side and completely isolated from each other. Each database engine installation is known as an SQL Server instance, and this instance can not only be, it can also be a named instance. So for example, whenever the instance configuration window comes up when you install the SQL, it will show you two options. One is the default instance, another one is the named instance. If you go for the named instance, there are certain rules that you keep in mind. So the rule number 1 is instance names are not case sensitive. It cannot start with an underscore, and then there are some reserved keywords that are not allowed. And if you specify MS SQL as your instance name, that's the default instance name that will be created. It should never be more than 16 characters, and then the first character of the instance must start with a letter and not with a decimal number. Also remember that the other rule is not to use any spaces or backslash or comma or colons or any other special characters. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.